Well, ladies and gents, I'd like to welcome all of you back to a Northeast Outdoors video. If I'm looking very cold at any point during this video, it's because I am. It's about 8 degrees right now down here in Mass. This is our first cold day of the year, like really cold day. And I figured that right now I'd make a video on how I find my early ice crappie. Because I figure a lot of you, after this cold front pushes in, are gonna be out ice fishing. It's gonna be a good amount of ice down here. Maybe not in the bigger ponds, but those medium, small ponds, I think would be pretty solid by the end of this week. So usually my crappie mission starts at home or in the car before I go into the pond. I always look for depth maps before I go out to any new body of water that I don't know. Typically crappie are gonna move from shallow during the fall and they'll push down deeper and deeper as fall turns into winter. Typically by early December, I find that most of the crappie are just pushed down into the basin. So if you go into a depth map and you find the basin in the pond that you're fishing, it's gonna make finding the fish a whole lot easier. You're gonna spend less time just looking for them, digging holes. But I do not have that luxury today. I'm fishing an unmapped pond. I know there's crappie in here because I fished it during the summer and I caught a few, and I know it gets somewhat deep. Typically crappie ponds, I want at least 20 feet. Not exactly sure what this one gets down to, we're gonna see, but I figured I'd fish a brand new ice fishing pond so I can really just show you guys my process. But after you find deep water on a map, or if you don't have a map, your next step is to get down to the water. Well, now that we're out here on the pond, one thing you're gonna wanna do before you start fishing is to actually check the ice. I came out here and checked it before I even walked down and grabbed my camera gear. I have one nice strip of 3.5 inches going out to where I wanna be, but if I'm moving to different parts of this pond at all, I'm still gonna check it, even though I know it's 3.5 inches in the spot I'm in. Just because it's thick in the spot I'm on doesn't mean it's thick everywhere. That's especially true with these flash freezes like we just had. I think this pond was open like 3 days ago, and then we got a couple like single-digit degree days and it froze right over. But that can lead to inconsistent ice sometimes, so cannot stress it enough. You should always be checking. I don't want anybody falling through. But after you know your ice is good, if you have a depth map, you can walk right out to your basin. I usually like to drill holes in the basin and going all around it. That way you can check kind of every depth in every area in that basin. If you do not have a map, like I don't today, I usually just like to drill a line of holes going all the way across the pond, and then I'll kind of make a cross and go along the long ways of the pond. And I'll drop my sonar in each of those, find the deepest part. If you don't have sonar, just drop a weight on a line down that hole. You can mark the line when the weight hits the bottom, and that way you'll know where the deepest part is without sonar. But let's drill some holes. I dropped my sonar in this hole and there was about 6 or 7 marks. They kind of ran away because it's not extremely deep over here. And sometimes these early ice fish can be pretty spooky, especially if you're walking on top of them. Actually, one popping up right now. So, and all you have to do when you find some fish, grab your favorite crappie rod and drop a line down. I actually got a ton of fish waiting for me down here, so I'm not gonna waste any time. Oh, I had one. There's a ton of them down there. There's a fish. Is that a crappie? Oh, it's a big old bluegill. Now this is either a decent sign or not a great sign. Sometimes these crappie and bluegill will all school together in one spot. So sometimes you gotta weed through a couple gills to get the fish you're after. But good looking gill. Now I do think we're gonna be seeing a mixed bag right here because I had one school of fish come in. There was a ton of high flyers. They chased me up pretty far. And then when those left, it was a bunch of bluegill. So I'm thinking this is probably a big bowl of pretty similar depth, and they probably just cruise around the whole thing. Oh, that's a pretty high flying fish right there. Oh, that's a lot of them. There's a fish. Oh, that's what I'm after. Come here, buddy. You just sent a hook into my finger. Thanks. You'll notice with these crappie, a lot of times they'll come in pretty high in the water column. First crappie of the ice season right there, though. Gotta love it. Now at this point, once you find some pretty consistent crappie, all you really have to do is catch as many as your heart desires and have a good trip out fishing. If you wanted to, you could set out some tip-ups with little crappie shiners or something like that, but I like to just jig them up on the rod. I think it's pretty fun. Oh, that's a pretty big fish. It's a bass. I guess everything feels big when you got the ultralight out. Thought I'd run into one of these at some point today. It's another thing you get when you're fishing for crappie. There we go. There's another one. Well, that's pretty much it for catching crappie. Not a super difficult fish to target as long as you know where to look. They have a faster metabolism than most fish in the winter, so they eat more. They move around quite a lot, and usually they're pretty willing to eat. But hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, make sure to leave me a like. Helps me out, tells YouTube to push my videos out to more people. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, keep up with all of ice fishing season. I'll have some more videos like this, and also just some normal fishing trip videos, some lake trout, pike, bunch of different fish, bunch of different trips, so make sure to subscribe, keep up with all that stuff. But anyways, as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.